Chosen one, the stage is yours. If you were an ordinary person, you wouldn't have been given this task, but you are not ordinary. The name that even the power centers tremble at now wants you by his side. Yes, Trump personally chose you, because the threats are big, the game is deep, but you are deeper. As they try to surround him, a single light can dispel the darkness: your awareness. This is no longer a political issue. This is a spiritual battle, and the most powerful shield in this battle is the divinely endowed consciousness within you. Everyone watching this video should know, the Chosen One is now in the game, and nothing will ever be the same again. If you're ready, put 666 in the comments and let the protection begin. Imagine a great oak standing tall in a field battered by storm after storm, roots dug deep into sacred ground. The thunder crashes, the wind howls, and yet the oak remains, unmoved, unbroken, a living testament that light can outlast any night. Beloved, that's how your presence moves through the world now. The fear in their eyes is the lightning crack before the dawn, not because of something you do, but because of what heaven has planted within you. Every whispered curse, every hidden ritual, like rain bouncing off ancient bark, has been rendered powerless by the covering over your life. You walk wrapped in a mantle that their incantations cannot pierce, shielded by a peace they can't even comprehend. See, you are the walking sanctuary, the safe place the enemy can't breach. Those who once played with darkness, tossing spells and spreading rumors like weeds across a garden, find themselves standing in the shadow of something holy and unshakable. Their darts fall flat, their spells fizzle out before they reach your door, and the very atmosphere shifts when you step into a room. What used to be a playground for gossip and envy is now a sacred ground, cleared and consecrated by your presence. People who once plotted in secret now find themselves speechless, their old bravado dissolving like mist in the morning sun. It's not that you sought confrontation, it's that your spirit carries the authority of ages, echoing with the prayers and promises sown by generations before you. Their attempts to shake you only expose the power of the shield encircling your life, a shield woven from faith, grace, and divine favor. You're like that city on a hill that can't be hidden. Every trembling hand, every nervous glance, every silence that falls in your wake is just another sign that the old order is crumbling. What once looked like an ordinary life is now marked by supernatural resilience. The wind blows, but the oak still stands, and every root is connected to the source of all strength. The world may not understand what keeps you upright, but heaven knows, and so do those who once underestimated you. Now the same voices that once whispered curses are whispering questions. How? Why? What changed? The answer, beloved, is that you've become the evidence of an unseen kingdom, a walking miracle, proof that when God sets a hedge around one of his own, not even the mightiest storm can uproot them. Your every step confounds the forces that once tried to undermine you, and their confusion is the sound of strongholds falling. And so, let the wind blow, let the storms come, because with every gust, your testimony grows stronger. Every night that passes only proves that light wins. Every attack that fails only reveals that your calling is guarded by something and someone far greater than this world can wield. You are heaven's living fortress, the oak that outlasts the storm, the chosen one whose journey is the thunderclap announcing a brand new day. Picture the way a mighty river, swollen with spring rains, bursts past every dam and sandbag thrown in its way. That's what divine justice is doing in your life, chosen one. The same folks who dug channels and ditches to divert your blessing, who stacked up walls of rumors and scattered charms to block your breakthrough. They can't hold back what God has already set in motion. Retribution is rolling back like a tide, carrying every unkind word, every backhanded scheme, and every shadowy curse straight back to the doorstep it came from. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. They thought they could quench your spirit with a downpour of negativity, but all they did was feed the seed God had already planted in you, turning your setbacks into soil and your pain into rain for a harvest of double portion. You are not just surviving the storms, they are watering the garden of your destiny. You were forged, not broken, by what they meant to use against you. Every sleepless night, every trial you walked through, only hammered you stronger and made you shine brighter, just like a blacksmith turns raw metal into an unbreakable sword. Imagine standing in a room where secrets used to float like fog at dawn, hidden and unchallenged. Suddenly, thunder crashes, truth rolls in, and every shadow is pierced by light that leaves nothing uncovered. That's the sound of the tables turning for you, beloved. The very secrets whispered in private now come out like a trumpet blast, echoing so loud that nobody can pretend not to hear them anymore. The halls where they once felt safe, those places are shaking now. The lies they thought would bury you have become the very seeds of your testimony. You see, God doesn't let injustice have the last word. Just as rivers eventually break free and flow where they are meant to go, so too does divine justice find its mark. Every attempt to reroute your blessing has only increased its strength. So when the floodgates open, what comes rushing back is not only justice, but abundance. The Lord has been using every hardship as training ground, forging your spirit on the anvil of adversity, making you unbreakable and unmistakable in your calling. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Don't you know, chosen one, that every hard thing you've walked through has stoked a fire in your spirit that the world can't put out? You didn't just get through the flames, you became the flame. Every time they threw water on your dreams, thinking it would put you out, it only spread your light further. Just like a candle that multiplies when you light another from its flame, your strength and faith have inspired others, sending out a beacon that can't be hidden or silenced. Beloved, let this settle deep in your soul. You are not just the survivor of storms. You are the proof that storms can be harnessed for a higher purpose. The world may see only the thunder and the flood, but God sees the new landscape that emerges when the water recedes, fresh, fertile ground, ready for a new harvest. You are standing in that place right now, chosen one, with a new clarity, a new authority, and a peace that nobody can steal. So next time you hear the thunder, don't flinch. Lift your head and remember, God sends the rain not just to wash away what's been, but to prepare you for what's next. You are forged in the furnace, baptized by the storm, and set as a light on a hill. What they meant for harm, heaven turned into your testimony. The river will always find its way home. and so will every promise made over your life. Picture the moment a single pebble hits a frozen pond and the ice begins to fracture, sending ripples of change across the surface. From the first time your spirit's true name was spoken in the halls of heaven, every wall built on half-truths and pretense began to tremble. You may not have realized it then, but something in the unseen realm shifted the day your identity was marked for destiny. Those who made it their business to drain your joy and stifle your gifts assembled all their ritual theatrics, brought in experts to assess and diminish your light. But beloved, every trial they manufactured only put another jewel in your crown. Just as a tree sends its roots deeper during storms, each orchestrated opposition deepened your resilience. When the world was busy staging drama, heaven was writing history. The efforts to steal your energy and reroute your blessings became footnotes in your testimony, stamped with God's approval. Even when their tactics felt overwhelming, when it seemed like every door was slammed, every friend turned suspicious, and every opportunity morphed into a test, there was a divine hand cataloging each moment for your eventual vindication. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. Every dark meeting held in secret, every rumor carried like wildfire, and every scheme to rewrite your story, none of it was lost on the one who called you by name. Instead, the full account is inscribed in the books that matter most. When you felt most invisible, that's when heaven saw you clearest. And when the record is finally revealed, those who stood against you will see that every attack was transformed into a monument to your endurance. You see, chosen one, there are no wasted chapters in your journey. The plots they set became the pages on which God wrote your testimony. Every failed attempt to take your light became evidence that you were always protected, always chosen, and always growing. You're not defined by their assaults. You are lifted by the sacred archive of victory, authored by the hand of the Most High. That's why you can walk boldly today, knowing that nothing formed against you ever truly prospered. Instead, it only made you unbreakable for the ages to come. Just picture a staircase built out of what was thrown to trip you. Every insult, every obstacle, every door slammed in your face became the next step upward, laid there by unseen hands. Like a lighthouse standing on a cliff, battered by storm after storm but never wavering, you've let the winds and waves shape you into something more solid, more anchored, and more luminous than before. When darkness closed in, your character burned with steady light, guiding others through their own night seas. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. See, there's a reason pressure keeps showing up in your story. It's the same way the earth makes diamonds. What was meant to crush you only pushed your brilliance to the surface. What others saw as setbacks, heaven recognized as the raw material for testimony. Every trial, every long night, every secret tear collected by angels, every moment you held your ground when no one else was watching. All of it is counted and cherished in the courtrooms of the unseen. There, your faithfulness shines like gold in the scales of eternity, outweighing every accusation, every whispered lie, every effort made to diminish your spirit. And it's not just about making it through. In this world, where so many settle for surviving, you're being elevated to thrive. Where others buckle, you become the blueprint for how to rise from the ashes. Where they tried to bury you, God planted a garden. Roots grew deeper and branches reached higher because of the very dirt thrown to cover you. Beloved, you have become both a pillar and a wellspring, a steady place for others to lean on, and a living source of encouragement for all who feel forgotten or underestimated. The ones who thought they could write your ending are now watching as you draft new beginnings in lines etched with hope and endurance. Their plots became fertilizer for the harvest of goodness breaking through in your life. What they called your breaking point was actually your breakthrough, the evidence that nothing formed against you could prosper. You were designed to endure, to shine, to love back when you could have struck back, and to keep walking when others would have given up. Now, with every step, your legacy grows. The memory of your stand in the shadows becomes the very map others will use to find the light. This journey was never just about your story. It's about all the stories your courage is unlocking for generations to come. When heaven weighs what truly matters, it's not crowns or titles or applause, but the quiet, unshakable resolve that kept you moving forward, one rung at a time, toward a purpose bigger than you ever dreamed. Let the world see that what was meant for harm became a ladder to destiny. You, the one overlooked, underestimated, even ridiculed, now radiate with a testimony that can't be silenced, because it's written by the author of every sunrise. And as you keep climbing, remember, the view is brightest from the heights built by faith, forged by fire, and crowned with promise. ChatGPT, just picture a blacksmith's anvil glowing in the heart of a humble forge, sparks leaping every time the hammer falls. Others in your life thought those sparks were accidents, nothing but random flashes in a storm of chaos. But beloved, every spark was a sign, a message from heaven that what was meant to scorch you would become your source of strength. Every missed call, every blackout, every friendship that slipped away wasn't just misfortune. It was a spark thrown off as the Spirit hammered you into shape, forging armor where others saw only scars. When spiritual attacks came, words like daggers, rumors like wildfire, losses that felt like tearing fabric, what should have brought you to your knees became the furnace that strengthened your resolve. Like rings being welded together, each cutting remark, every cold shoulder, every unfair dismissal became a new link in the holy chainmail that now covers you from head to toe. And let me tell you, in God's workshop, nothing is wasted. Every attempt to tear you down became a stroke of the Master's hammer, molding you for battles only you could fight. While others wrung their hands and called it bad luck, you learned to see through spiritual eyes. The interruptions, the betrayals, even the silence. Each one was a move on the cosmic chessboard. Where people saw loss, you found the ingredients of divine elevation. You began to realize you weren't just surviving the skirmish. You were being drafted, link by link, into heaven's elite guard. With every test, heaven was sewing another layer onto your spiritual armor. Each disappointment transformed into a divine protection, each insult repurposed as a badge of honor. There were days when the world called you stubborn, said you were too sensitive or too withdrawn. They couldn't see the hidden battle raging in the spirit, but you kept going. kept trusting, kept turning every blow into a blessing. And over time, even those who once criticized you started to see something unbreakable in your walk. The adversaries who thought you'd crumble began to recognize that your strength wasn't just grit, it was grace. The very storms that should have destroyed you only sharpened your vision, taught you to spot danger in the shadows, and made your faith shine even brighter. Now, you wear heaven's armor with quiet confidence. You don't flinch at opposition because you know what it cost to be this resilient. Every scar is a story of survival. Every heartbreak, a page in your testimony. You've become the living proof that what the enemy used for harm, God used for glory. You're not just armored against the attacks, you're radiant, a lighthouse for others facing their own storms. And here's the miracle: the very people who once tried to break you now see their own reflection in your courage. They recognize the shield you carry isn't made of bitterness, but of pure, refined faith. They see you, not as someone who survived in spite of the battle, but as someone transformed because of it. Like a beacon on the shoreline, your life now guides others to safe harbor. Each fiery trial was a link in the armor that covers you today, and no weapon formed against you shall prosper, because you are walking in the strength of the one who called you, refined and unstoppable. The deeper the darkness pressed, the more evident became heaven's law. What you sow, you reap, multiplied, and returned. Those who once gathered to celebrate your setbacks now find their own tables overturned. Where they tried to turn your journey into a story of loss, heaven spun their curses into blessings, a divine reversal so precise that no one could deny its origin. Every seed of pain planted against you has now blossomed in their own lives as thorns. Picture a sandcastle built on the tide line, grand, proud, carved with hidden corridors and flags made of twigs. All afternoon the builders laughed and plotted, believing the sea would never touch their fortress. But as dusk settles and the moon's pull grows stronger, the waves roll in, slow but relentless. Suddenly, that castle collapses grain by grain. The moat fills, and what once looked permanent melts away as if it never existed. Beloved, that's what's happening right now. The towers raised by their pride, the schemes mapped in secret, are dissolving under the gentle but unyielding tide of divine justice. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord guide your path. Every backroom handshake made to box you in is now slipping from their grasp like wet sand. Those who built their empires on hidden ledges and back-alley alliances are watching their fortunes vanish with a single shift of the current. Health, once taken for granted, is rattled by storms they can't name. Technology, their supposed stronghold, begins to falter and break down at the very hour they need it most. The power they thought would secure their control now becomes the rope that ties them in knots they can't undo. And here's the miracle. The energy poured into laying traps and weaving intrigue now doubles back, winding tighter and tighter around their own plans until there's no escape. Like a boomerang thrown with ill intent, every move they made returns, hitting harder and truer than they ever anticipated. They scramble for explanations, but every attempt to cover their tracks only spotlights their misdeeds in front of the very audience they hoped to deceive. This isn't just poetic justice, it's a divine reversal written by hands far greater than theirs. The curtain is rising on the grand finale, and as the spotlight lands on every secret they tried to keep hidden, the crowd sees them as they truly are. No masks, no shadows, no more power to write the story. The show they staged now scripts their own unraveling, and the applause is reserved for the truth they worked so hard to silence. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Beloved, know this: you are not just watching from the sidelines. You are the lighthouse that outlasts every storm, the solid ground where justice plants its flag. Where their castles crumble, your foundation grows stronger. Where their voices once roared, now only the whisper of truth remains. In this holy turnaround, you stand at the center, steady and unwavering, as heaven rewrites the script and vindicates your journey, grain by grain, storm by storm, glory by glory. And in the wake of their undoing, what rises is not more fear, but fresh possibility. The tides that swept their fortresses away make room for new gardens to grow, fields of peace, orchards of grace, legacies built on truth. The same hands that tried to write your defeat now point the way to your victory, not by force, but by surrender to a power that no scheme can shake. The story of their collapse is only the prelude. The real chapter begins with your unwavering stand, your heart fixed on the rock, your life rooted in the promise that no wave can wash away. Even now, they scramble for explanations, accusing you of sorcery, running to dubious guides, spending fortunes on new charms, ever fearful of the invisible. Yet each frantic move only makes the truth plainer to the world. What they called power was nothing but sleight of hand, and what they face now is the fallout of their own choosing. Their alliances, once proud and public, splinter with the first gust of adversity. The very mentors who fed their ambitions now step back, reputations withering under the sun of exposure. Once treasured connections vanish, replaced by isolation. Every partnership they brokered in darkness now faces the glare of daylight. The web of influence crumbles, leaving them adrift, searching for the sense of certainty that your presence quietly carried all along. Meanwhile, as the dust settles, the air itself seems to change. Where isolation once felt like exile, you now sense a gathering, a magnetism pulling true souls together, like constellations realigning after a long night. Connections spark between those whose hearts pulse with the same frequency, creating a tapestry stronger and more resilient than any secret society ever built. This is your circle, knit not by accident, but by divine orchestration. You emerge from the fire as more than a survivor. You are a living proof that endurance is not passive, but creative. Every hardship becomes fuel for vision. Sunflowers grow in sidewalk cracks, rainbows shimmer after the wildest storms, and even barren soil yields harvest when touched by faith. This season, every sign points to a broader mission, the birthing of a new community, awakened to genuine spiritual authority. And what happens next is bigger than you. Your victory signals a fresh wave of awakening. Your vindication is the first domino in a chain reaction that will distinguish the authentic from the artificial across spiritual circles everywhere. The tables are turning. As your adversaries confront the mirror of their own actions, A new generation of seekers will recognize true power when they see it. The stage is set for a revival of real, undiluted spirituality, a public restoration where those who watched in secret will have no choice but to bear witness. You are not chosen to retaliate, but to restore. Not just to weather storms, but to seed new gardens in their aftermath. Where others feared exposure, you are called to shine. Every trial, every rejection, every battle was the groundwork for a breakthrough that's meant to ripple out and lift others too. That's the new covenant being written right now, on your life, your story, your rising.